Hey folks, Pat here from DNS. This Madison area fishing report is current as of Friday, January 13th. Happy Friday the 13th, everyone. I hope you have a lucky day today. Just quick before we get started, I got this press release here. The DNR sends these out. They list all the stuff they got going on, but one thing that caught my eye was this Learn to Catch and Cook Dinner class that they're offering. So if you want to learn more about what to do with your catch after you bring it home, or after you catch it, looks like a cool class. Looks like 5 sessions where you can. They got indoor sessions and then on the ice classes, and teach you to cook your fish afterwards. So they don't have a page set up on their website or anything for this. So I guess if anyone's interested in this, just leave a comment below, and I can try to email it to you, or post the registration thing afterwards. I'm not sure. Just stay tuned for that. The other thing I wanted to plug was, of course, the Yahara Fishing Club's Kids Fishing Day, the 28th here, coming up at Brittingham Park. Great event to get kids into ice fishing, totally free, and walk away with free pole and free lunch, and it's a great event. So check it out. Also, not really fishing related, but I'm kind of a bird guy. This weekend there's the bald eagle watching days. It's a cool event up there. You can go and they got volunteers along the strip there in Prairie Du Sac, and the platforms where you can watch eagles, and they'll tell you all about them. And they also have stuff going on at the River Arts Center there, a whole list of indoor stuff. So it's a cool event anyway. Take kids up there. Good time. Just wanted to plug that quick. Otherwise, as far as the fishing report goes, I just want to stress again that this report is for the current conditions as of today's date. Recent temperature fluctuations changed the ice conditions. So, be careful no matter where you fish, especially around shoreline areas and storm sewers and anywhere there's current, really. If you want more up-to-date conditions, feel free to call the shop here at 241-4225, and we can let you know what we're hearing. But generally around the chain, the ice is in good shape right now. And I guess just a little bit of shop news. I opened up my 8th bait tank here to have some backup large shiners. We had briefly ran out of bait this weekend. Made a quick trip out to Dodgeville, though, thanks to Gollin's Fish Farm for hooking me up on a Sunday. But anyway, we got plenty of bait over here now. The weather this last week we had highs in the 30s and lows in the 20s at night, so we didn't make much ice, but we didn't lose any either. Nice and cold tonight, it looks like, but a little bit of a warm up this weekend. Should be great conditions for fishing, and I don't think it'll affect the ice that much. Looks like they're calling for a cool down late next week, but I also feel like I've been saying that for a month now. Well, next week it's going to cool down, and then it never actually comes. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Generally around the chain, there's mostly gills being caught shallow with a few crappies mixed in, and some decent tip-up action for pike and largemouth bass in those same areas. Many shallow areas are also producing good numbers of walleye still. Basin perch action has been spotty on Wabisa and Kiganza, and folks are starting to venture out over the deep water on Mendota and Monona. And reports I'm hearing of ice out there is mostly, at least on Mendota, 4 to 5 inches ice. 5 or 6 on Monona, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. Up here to Cherokee, let's see, we got still some good panfish coming out of here. I was up there on Wednesday evening with my son and did really well, but a buddy of mine was out there the day before and got skunked. So it's hit or miss, but when they're on up there, and it's always worth a look. And some nice sized gills coming out of there. Good tip-up action on pike. We had 2 small northern, so It's always worth a look up there to Cherokee, down to the 113 bridge. I drove by here yesterday, and there was a lot of open water, so people could be fishing down there, but I haven't heard any reports. Out on Mendota, like I mentioned, the ice sounds like quite a few folks actually are venturing out by foot out to the deep water. I know people have been out on the West Basin out here, some people around Second Point and that out over deep water. They say there's 4 to 5 inches everywhere they go, so generally pretty safe for foot travel. I did hear about the heave that always forms between Maple Bluff and Governor's Island has appeared, I guess, if that's what you call it, and so be careful around there. And I'll try to let you know of other heaves that I hear about. Post those in the comments below if you know of any that should be alerted to people. Otherwise, shallow areas remain pretty good. Warner Bay, University Bay. I've heard about fish coming out of those areas along shore. Anywhere close to shore and shallow water has been producing walleyes. A lot of them that during the evening. Pike all day. Haven't heard much for shallow water panfish action. A few out of University Bay, but not a lot. But yeah, some good walleye and pike action up shallow. And ice across the lake varies, but like I said, even out deep, they got 4 or 5 inches, and I've heard up to 10 inches in other spots. So ice is in good shape right now. Lake Monona, pretty much the same thing. A lot of walleyes in shallow areas. Olbrich, city shoreline. Over in Monona Bay, they're still getting some walleyes. I hear about. Haven't heard much out of Turville Bay. Squaw Bay has. I've been still hearing about walleyes over there. Generally around the lake, it sounds like there's 5 to 6 inches out over the deep water and more up shallow. But I did hear that there's still a pocket of open water over here in the Toniwatha, kind of rock pile area, somewhere over there. I'm not exactly sure, but you're just going to want to be careful no matter where you fish out there, like I try to stress. Monona Bay has 5 to 6 inches of ice, and they're pounding fish down there. A lot of small fish, so you got to sort through quite a bit to get some keepers. But there are folks taking fish out of there, taking them home. Lake Wingra, a lot of tiny gills over here, and a lot of perch actually I've heard about. But a lot of those fish are small, like 8 inches might be a big one. Haven't heard much for tip-up action over there either. Like I said, Turville Bay has been quiet. Squaw Bay has been pretty good. Haven't heard much out of panfish on Lake Monona itself, even out of Squaw Bay yet. So, but I have heard some good panfish down here on Mud Lake out of the dredge hole, and some crappies suspended in the deeper areas of that. And some good pike coming out of this area too. So definitely worth a look over there. Up here or down here, I guess, on Wabisa, I haven't heard a lot out of Lake Farm. It still sounds like there's not a lot of weeds over there. Around Wabisa in general, the gill bite that was down here on the South Bay is kind of slowed down. I guess I haven't heard much about that lately. I've heard about a few fish coming off Bible Camp over here, but it's also been kind of spotty for walleyes over there in the Babcock area too. Hog Island, heard about a few walleyes as well, but also spotty. And perch in the main basin, I've heard there's a lot of lookers, a lot of perch around, but not a lot of takers. They swim up to your jig and then swim back down. But a few people have been getting some fish out there. Kind of the same deal down on Kegonsa. Just haven't heard much coming out of there. A lot of folks out fishing. There's plenty of ice. I heard 8, 9 inches still out there. Folks running ATVs all over the place, and they just chasing perch, and they find them, but they just can't get them to go. They look and then swim off. But and also some gills up shallow, but not a lot coming out of Kegonsa from what I hear. Down on Lake Koshkonong, been hearing about some good walleyes, but a lot of short fish, gills in the shallow bays. I think a lot of the action up here is where the river comes in. So of course be careful around those current areas. Other than that, I guess I haven't heard a lot from down there. Let's see, where else are we here? Beaver Dam Lake, I did hear up here they're getting a lot of walleyes. They have been getting walleyes up there for quite a while. Good numbers, but it sounds like keepers are a little harder to come by now. But some good walleye action up there from what I hear. I don't hear anything about catfish, which were plentiful this summer, and so I wonder why that is. But over here to the Prairie Du Sac Dam, haven't heard much on the river over here recently, but there's probably some walleyes stacked up in there. Up on Lake Wisconsin, I've heard 5 to 6 inches all the way across the lake. Pretty slow on walleyes or small walleyes, more accurately from what I hear. Some fish coming out of the fingers, but a lot of those fish are small from what I hear, and same thing over to Wayland's Grade. I have heard about some decent crappie catches near Wood around the lake, so I guess if you're looking for that, could be interesting. Haven't heard much on the river by the Dells or anything. Castle Rock's been slow from what I hear. Petenwell has been pretty good from what I hear. Some good numbers of fish. A lot of those fish along the channel, which if you look at a map, really winds through here. It's pretty crazy. All the humps and breaks they have through here. So lots of areas that you could target for fish. A lot of those fish I hear about coming off breaks near kind of large, shallow flats. But then some of those fish I've heard about have been up pretty shallow too. So some decent walleye action up there. Haven't heard a lot out of the Mississippi River, but I have heard, DeSoto Bay and Genoa have been, or Stoddard have been producing. They're starting to get some big perch out there, and the back sloughs have been producing some good panfish action. Over to Milwaukee, the rivers warmed up, and I know some folks made it out over there and were fishing the tribs. I hadn't really heard any reports, but I imagine some folks are getting fish over there. The biggest story over there is the harbors, so Racine and what's it called up here, um, up by McKinley Harbor. All the harbors up and down the East Coast over here have been producing some good brown trout and steelhead through the ice, which is awesome. If you get a chance to do it or want to check it out, it's a great time. Anyway, I guess that's it for the report. Oh yeah, trout. Trout. So trout fishing opened last weekend. A lot of folks getting out around the area. Had some decent conditions, and I saw some pretty good catches on social media. Right now, this time of year, water's cold. Fish are moving kind of slow. Your good bite window is going to be about 10 to 2 during the day, but more accurately, like 11 to 1. So kind of a tight bite window. Like woolly buggers with a prince nymph or some kind of small nymph behind it is super effective. You also can't deny the effectiveness of a pink squirrel this time of year. But low and slow is generally the theme of winter fishing. And of course, there's no live bait. You can't use live bait during this early season. It's all catch and release. And if you're using spin gear, I'd suggest something like tube jigs, something you can move slowly through some water. But I guess that's it for the report. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post those below and post your catches below. We love to see how you folks are doing out there. And yeah, I guess that's it. And thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll talk next week. Take care.